How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. It is episode 22, Parents vs. Gaming. We're calling this the train wreck because we really have no idea what we're probably going to talk about for the next 45 minutes. Jordan,
Wait, hang on.
the
I thought this was because of the Wait, I thought this was because of Vanguard. Like it's a giant train that you just blow up for no damn
You
reason.
set me up for that, didn't you? You planned that for
I did.
You planned that for 5 minutes. You wanted me to call it the train wreck just so you could talk about this stupid event that Activision and Raven put on in Warzone. And you know me, I'm the biggest defender of Call of Duty. But wow, we will get into that event. As you can see in the middle, Jordan is here, but her camera's broke, so she's just going to be on audio. Hi, Jordan, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic. And all the way on the end, probably sitting on his soapbox right now, it sounds like he's rearing and ready to go tonight. Jay Noller. Jay, how are you?
Good, I had an espresso. Let's fucking go.
Jesus. This is going to be a disaster. Hopefully no one's tuning in tonight or listening this week on the podcast, but we'll find out.
Come on, it'll be fine. We have no direction. We have no topic. We're just going to talk top of mind. And I've had an espresso, and I got a nap in this afternoon.
I mean, I feel like
I don't know what could possibly go wrong.
Well, you know that Doc Holloway will stop in at the very end and be like, "Oh, guys, hey, I'm here. Sorry, I'm 55 minutes late."
10 minutes after we stop. But you know that just means that Jay's literally going to talk nonstop for 45 minutes, right?
It could be.
It
could be fun.
Just get me queued up. Get me queued up. Get me going on something.
So let's talk about our weeks real quick. We'll start right here in the middle. Jordan, you had your birthday. You did a birthday stream. Your mom, I think, something that was funny that came up. Your mom asked if you wanted to go to a restaurant dressed as a Scooby-Doo character.
Oh, I was wondering. Okay. So, it was nice. My brother flew in. We were supposed to go on a boat and stuff that I had rented for a couple friends, but due to a family emergency, unfortunately, and I was supposed to go visit James, but all of my plans had to get canceled, but I still got to see my brother, which was great. We went to Ohio to visit my little cousin, wish him well, bring my cousin food and stuff, support the fams. And then when we did come back, the day before my birthday, we went out to a bar, had a couple friends over there. That was like just so much fun. I laughed my butt off. And then I was getting I just got my Velma costume in, right? You can see it on my TikTok if you want to catch that. And I was supposed to go to a really fancy dinner for my birthday. One of my friends was offering to take me. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, is that what you're wearing? It's so cute." And I'm like, "Mom, this is Velma. You want me to go as Velma on my birthday?" Yeah, I don't know. She's funny.
And how did the birthday stream go? You had a good time?
It was amazing. Everyone was so supportive. It was so nice. Stream has been rough for me the past couple of months, and even podcast. So it's nice to get back in the swing of things, and hopefully my life will stop being a complete train wreck. And I can, start living life as normal now,
I'm sure it was nice to see that you still had all the support and love there as well.
Yeah, no, it was so nice. I cried after stream. But I just appreciate and love, all you guys so much. Thank you so much for being there.
Hey, that's what the community's about, right? To lift your spirits at bad times, too.
For sure.
Okay, James, let's play a game.
Well, you tell us about your week, Jay.
Wait, I want to play a game first. Okay. So I have never, and this sounds really weird, I've never met Jordan face to face. We've talked numerous times, never met her face to face, never gone out with her, never done anything.
Well, I think
let's play a game. Let's try to figure out what her favorite drink is and what her drink of choice is when she goes out.
Oh, okay. At the bar.
Yeah, at the bar.
At the bar. Jordan's favorite drink.
It's going to be interesting.
Can we ask questions? What's the rules here, Jay?
Ooh, I don't know. Wait, okay. You get one question, and then you get a guess, and then it's my turn.
And we go back and forth?
Go back and forth.
All right. So we get is it
I think you should both be able to ask a question before either of you guess, because it's not fair if you literally ask a question, guess, and then you get both those wrong. Then Jay pretty much gets free reign from, like, your guess.
Jordan, you are totally ruining my advantage that I have built into this game.
I'll go.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay,
you go, then I'll go, and then we'll both guess.
Is it a cocktail like a spirit cocktail?
What does that even mean?
Not beer or wine.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not counting this. He's thinking mad hard.
Okay. No, there's so many drinks to choose from. Okay, is the drink like is it a primary color when it's served?
Not always, but typically it's like a greenish color.
A greenish color.
Okay, are you ready to guess, James?
Is it an apple martini?
No.
Jay, go ahead.
Margarita?
Yeah, I love me some tequila.
Boom. Dubs, baby. Okay, I'm done with the rest of this show. You guys enjoy. Have a great evening. I'm going to take my win and walk away.
Why was that so interesting?
I don't know. Jay killed it. He made it less interesting really quickly.
Does that mean you owe me birthday margaritas? Since you guessed right?
I mean,
he does. He's going to send you some margarita mix.
I'll send you a gift card.
No, just send me the money. I'll go to the bar right now. Go get some margaritas.
That's what we need to do. We need to do a bar stream. Can we make that happen?
I have a bar.
Is that possible?
No, guys. I have had the idea. I have a bar right here. I want to have a guest on and do like truth or drink or something like that, because I have a full bar like in my little like studio that I have that I can like set up and everything, but I need a guest.
I mean, just pick one.
I think we can make that happen.
I'm sure if you wear your Velma outfit to the bar, I'm sure.
No,
I
was gonna get a little bartending outfit. Wouldn't that be so cute?
Well, it's your hometown. You got to pick out the guest.
I mean, y'all can fly here.
Oh, James, you could be Scrappy Doo.
I could.
You could get like a little.
I could plan to fly out there. And
you really called me Scrappy
like days before, tell her I can't come.
Okay, you know what happened. Do you want me to go on stream and cry right now?
No, it was a joke. Come on, it was a joke. It was a joke.
See,
all right, Jay.
Jordan. Wait, Jordan. This is why I selected. This is why I selected Scrappy Doo as his cosplay character, because Scooby Doo would never say anything that mean.
Scooby Doo would never say that.
Well, I've got a Scooby Doo costume somewhere, so you're welcome.
Let me just trauma dump all over our podcast.
Jay, speaking of trauma and dumping all over something, what about your horsemen? Are they out of football yet? Are they done for the season?
We're not. We've got a playoff game September 30th. It's a Monday night game. Does not carry the same significance as a NFL Monday night game, but we're pretty excited about it. And then this next week 30th. Is No. I'm sorry. Did I say September 30th? I meant this 30th. Like
August
next week.
30th.
Sorry.
I was like, wow.
And then if we win that game, we're in the championship on September 4th. So it's a quick turnaround for us. But hopefully we'll do well for that. And then the high school team that I coach, Bishop Kelly up here in Boise, we're starting game prep this week. So the kids are back in school this last week and getting ready for a 5A school. So we're going to be punching above our weight class. So we're really excited about that.
Nice. That's awesome. Then my week, for anyone that actually cares, I went and saw Wicked. Was amazing. Loved it. Their traveling show. And then I actually went to a community theater on Friday night and saw Matilda, which was way better than I thought it would be, and it was a pretty good production. So
hey, buddy, got a question for you. So how come all of a sudden you're seeing all these plays and shows now? Just out of curiosity, is this a sudden interest or?
No, me to trauma dump everywhere.
Listen,
I will go on right now.
I will say that a lot of people don't. That even some that know me don't know that I'm big into like theater shows and plays, and So I actually enjoy all of that stuff. I just don't talk about it very much. I've actually seen Wicked on Broadway. I think it was about 12 or 13 years ago when I saw it.
Yeah, he told me that. I really,
So
I really wish I could have went and seen it.
If I am also a fellow repressed thespian. I do not talk about my enjoyment of the theater very often, but we actually have season tickets to the show house here, and so we're going to be seeing 4 or 5 shows here in the next few months. So we're actually pretty excited for our season theater tickets.
It's good to see the with the COVID thing. It really is good to see the road shows the traveling shows coming back, and that to be able to be out there, because it really is just something that gets you out of the house and adds a little bit of culture and fun and enjoyment, and I think it's cool to see all that stuff back.
And I have to wear pants because normally I'm more like sweats or like basketball shorts. So my wife appreciates the fact that I actually have to pull out an iron and make my clothes look nice before I go out in public. So
yeah,
I think she appreciates it as well.
I can see that. So let's get into John Meserve in Facebook chat says, was it wicked good? And he's from the Boston area, so I can only imagine hearing it in his accent. I will just not attempt to do that and be shamed.
Yeah, he picked up some Dunkin' on the way there, too.
I did have Dunkin' Donuts the other morning, so it's fine. It's like normally my Sunday routine. Okay, so let's jump into a little bit of gaming news. It is Parents versus Gaming. So I want to talk a little bit about the one of the headlines that came out this week is People Can Fly, who made the game Outriders. Huge hit back in March, April, and May. Kind of a surprise hit. Everyone thought, oh, could this be the Destiny killer? This has wings. Could it go somewhere? And then it died off pretty quickly. It was a big hit on Xbox's Gamepass. Well, they had an earnings call last week. And in the earnings call, like all developers, they have to answer to their investors. And they had to let their investors know that they had not received any royalties from the publisher Square Enix yet. And to which they could only assume the game had not recovered its cost. Whether it be advertising, marketing, all this stuff that is incurred by Square Enix, because the only way they would get royalties is if all that stuff was up to date, and then any profit from there, the royalties would start going to the developer, People Can Fly. That's what the CEO of People Can Fly can say. And then when an investor asks People Can Fly, well, how many copies did Outriders sell? We don't know because Square Enix won't tell us.
What?
So then a lot of hate came.
That contract.
A lot of hate came, and people were saying, oh, Microsoft Game Pass is bad for the industry, and it's going to force a really good developer to be bankrupt. And what a lot of people are speculating,
signing a contract.
Well, what a lot of people are speculating is that People Can Fly, the developer, made a deal with Square Enix, the publisher, and then the royalties and all the payments were probably based on physical and digital copies sold of the game. And then since Square Enix is the publisher, Square Enix probably made a deal with Xbox to put the game on Game Pass, where it was super popular. So whatever Microsoft pays companies to put their games on their service didn't count towards whatever the money that's involved with. Essentially, Square Enix cut their own developer out of a deal that they made, a side deal. That's what everyone is speculating. Again, because we don't know how much Microsoft, does Microsoft pay an independent developer the same amount of money they're going to pay, Rockstar to put GTA 5 on game? Nobody knows what that cost is.
Is there any legal action they can take against that, or is that completely legal?
Jay, I'm gonna say something, and I'm just gonna leave this up in the air. This might be made to you laugh. So as I was listening to a podcast discussing this, somebody said, just like Jordan said, is this something legal? Can a company base your bonuses and incentives and extra pay on a certain amount of sales, but then also not tell you those certain amount of sales that are going on in your area of work? And I thought to myself, wow, that sounds really familiar. So I am assuming that, with that being said, that a lot of companies do this, and it probably is, depending on your contract. I don't think there's anything illegal, it sounds like, that Square Enix may have done. A lot of people are also likening it to the whole Scarlett Johansson. She made a deal with how the movie theater sales were going to do on Black Widow, and then they went ahead and put it on Disney Plus, but she doesn't get any money based on what is bought on the streaming service in her contract, so that's why she's suing Disney. And then what blows my mind is I was like, oh well, I guess we lost the Black Widow for any foreseeable future. And then when you hear the top execs at Disney going, oh, we agree with her, I'm like, okay, well, I don't understand the problem, because you guys are in charge and you're agreeing with her lawsuit against you. So Jay, what's your kind of I know you're a big marketing guy, you're into all the financial side of things. What's your take on this? Do you think the Game Pass really is ruining the industry? Could this be a trend to come, or is this just a matter of with streaming services deals need to be looked at better, or what's going on?
So who licensed it out to Square?
So People Can Fly is the developer.
Okay.
And they license to Square Enix to publish the game, which happens a lot. Smaller teams,
right?
Companies publish games for them.
Right. So,
and again, we don't have any real facts. This is all speculation at this point. All we know is that People Can Fly.
I can tell you exactly what happened. There's no other mechanism for them to not be able to do this. So essentially, what happens is when you and keep in mind for those folks out there doubting my credentials, come at me, bro. But I literally work in licensing, and what's funny is I'm actually presenting at the Global Licensing Expo this next week through their virtual platform that was supposed to be in Las Vegas this year. So I have worked and signed many of these contracts, including with Disney, WWE, major things. So I've gone through this process multiple times for getting a licensing agreement. And it's really interesting. And what it sounds like is a very young studio didn't know what the hell they were doing, thought they knew what they were doing, and then wrote a contract without spending the money to go get out and get a licensing person involved, either via lawyer, consulting firm, like what I do, or whatever that is. Because very specifically in every contract I've ever said, or I've ever signed, it says that you can look at each other's books at any time with information regarding sales, commission rates, projected sales, information like that. I am blown away that they have no idea. The other problem that I see is it sounds like, because the Scarlett Johansson thing, it's funny that you mentioned you shit on the Disney executives a little bit, but the problem is nobody ever foresaw this pandemic happening when that contract was signed. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many years ago. So when the contract gets put into the bean counter, so then the accountants, the people that actually cut the checks, that actually handle the math and stuff on it, they look at it and they go, oh, okay, well, this revenue came from X. We're supposed to pay on this category. And usually these Excel spreadsheets are just massive. And they go, okay, nothing fits. Cool. We don't pay on it. And that's it. And that's the last you hear about it until obviously Johansson's like, hey, talks to her agent. How much did I make? And he goes, hey, by the way, you made $20 in a coupon for Black Widow being released into Disney Plus. She makes a big deal of it. She goes after it. Disney lawyers automatically, are supposed to be like, nope, we're not changing anything. The executives have a lot more leeway on it, but a lot of this stuff goes back and forth without the executive and leadership team knowing exactly what's going on. Because I promise you, the CEO of Disney doesn't go down to the bean counters and go like, hey, by the way, just checking in. Hey, how much was Scarlett's check this last week? Like, that has nowhere near on his radar. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of it is just, I think this one might be chalked up to a big misstep, because if their contract didn't specifically say, hey, Square, I get to go in and look at your revenue from this game, because if they went in and made the mistake of itemizing it, we get to look at revenue for merchandise, for hard sales, digital sales like Steam or something like that. If they made the mistake of making those a bullet pointed thing, Square Enix can go sit there and go, oh, it's not one of the bullet points. Kiss my ass. Because not in the agreement.
I mean, what's crazy is by them not getting any royalties, they're saying this game hasn't recouped its costs. For the first couple months it was out, it was the number 3 and number 4 over the 2-month span of top sellers. Being cross-platform, there's multiple games that come out like that you can compare them to over a time frame. And as far as recovering basic costs of making the game and not marketing and advertising, they should have tripped over that line. So a lot of people are attributing it to the Game Pass deal and are trying to put a spin on Microsoft, saying they're the bad guys here and Game Pass could kill developers. But I'm still on the belief that they probably just made the deal with Square Enix as the publisher, and from Microsoft's point of view, 1, they probably didn't care, and 2, they probably had no idea that Square Enix wasn't including the developer in. It would have nothing to do with it, really.
Yeah, Microsoft doesn't give 2 shits about the dev team. Like, all they care about is who owns the rights to it, who can sell the rights to it, and that's who I'm working with. I don't care about the developers. I mean, everyone likes to think that, oh, the end user really cares. No, they don't, because it's money and it's contracts. And once they set up an agreement, because what it should be is, it should be one of the phrases out there in one of the deal points is it should be we have access to sales for all physical copies, all digital copies, and any other revenue generated by our property. That's how it should have been. And if they don't put that and blah, 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 I mean, you're talking five, six words. Square Enix doesn't have to tell them shit.
Yeah.
And they also don't have to pay on it either. Now the flip side is sometimes, you would hope that Square Enix would sit there and go like, oh, okay, well, we know what you meant. But the problem is once you start admitting that, now other developers can go in and other deals and stuff go, oh, well, we understand this was in the deal, but now you know what it meant. And that sets the precedent going down the road for, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah, and it has
what caused, they meant is bullshit.
And I will say it has caused People Can Fly have responded to their investors saying, going forward, they don't plan on giving out their rights to hiring a publisher to publish their games. They will either work in collaboration with somebody, which is a little bit different than the way they had this deal, or they will self-publish. And I mean, I obviously don't know too much about how that works. I just can imagine that self-publishing probably is a lot harder than just saying, oh, we'll just self-publish our game. If it was easy, you wouldn't have got other company to publish the game to begin with. So, Jordan, any thoughts on you on this? I know you're more kind of the PC side of things, and I don't think you jumped into the Outriders back in the day, or even if you remember it existed, because I actually kind of forgot
I was really interested. I was really interested in it, but unfortunately I never played it. And now I'm kind of grateful because that's just so sad. You put your heart and soul into it, and it did so well. And then could you imagine the disappointment and just from being inexperienced, And that's what sucks, is that people take advantage of people who are inexperienced and don't think of every single possibility. It's so sad.
And I think it goes back to very similar to, like you said, about the Disney deal with Johansson, Jay, is these deals were probably made 4, 5, 6 years ago when they started making this game, and Game Pass only in the last, it's been around for a while, but I would say only in the last year have they really pushed it to what it is today. I remember when Outriders got announced for Game Pass, it was literally like a week before the game came out. That's what made it so exciting, is that, wow, there's not really any games to play. This big AAA game's getting ready to come out. This studio's really starting to take off, and it's going to be on Game Pass. And I remember playing it for, 10, 15 hours. I got a couple of buddies that played all the way through the entire game. They didn't like some of the systems at the end, and the game kind of died fairly quickly after a couple of months. But what's sad to me is that now you've seen this basically twice. Square Enix kind of fumbled the game and how they handled and the sales, and it dipped off like someone jumping off a high dive when it came to the Marvel's Avengers game. And then here it's the exact same thing. They came out with Outriders, and it was hot coming out of the gates, and within a couple of months, the game just starts to die. So I don't know if this is something that, hopefully this is not a trend we see from Square Enix. It's been going on for many more years than that. It's the same thing with Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider came out of the gates, was super hot, and then they just could never keep the momentum on these games. So I don't know if it has to do with the way they're signing these contracts as publisher rights, that now the developers aren't enticed to continue to push the game and make great content, continue going forward, or if this is just something that Square Enix needs to look inside. I mean, they're a great studio when they do make their own games, but hopefully this isn't something we see that starts to kill an industry on that side of things, because they do, they're the Final Fantasy side of things and Kingdom Hearts and all that, and I would hate to see a continuing trend of their games dying really quickly after release.
Well, and I think it just comes down to the survivability of the play modes and the gameplay and everything else. I mean, you yourself mentioned you're like, oh my God, it was the greatest game ever. I played it for 15 hours. I was like, eh. And then I had a couple of friends who pushed it all the way through, and then they went, I don't like some of that. And that probably had more to do with that thing dying off quickly than it did the actual, Game Pass type thing. I mean, we've talked about Game Pass. I mean, I think it is contributing to the hyper consumption of games and then titles and then people just throwing it off. Because now if you know that the average shelf life on a game is 25% less than you would with an actual purchase, then why would I sit there and really finish a game all the way through? Because I know it's pointless, because people are going to blow through it anyway, or they're just going to do the Game Pass. So, I mean, the interesting thing is the Game Pass does open up more of an ecosystem for deals, because it really is going to make a big difference on how people are chopping up, different items, because, there's the percentage of revenue and then there's the hard dollars. And those numbers can sometimes be incredibly different, because if you're talking a $60 game at 10%, it's $6. Now, what do I need to do to recoup that $6 when Game Pass puts it on there for 25 or 5 or 10? I can't charge just 10% on that. And we're going to have to do a step deal where Game Pass, I get 25%. And at the same time, are the publishers really going to want to deal with it, as a middleman, because they're not going to be able to get their chunk out of it as well, because the margins just aren't there anymore.
Yeah. And like I said, it's interesting that the biggest X factor here, and who knows if we'll ever find out, is we just have no idea what Microsoft is paying a company to put. We know that they are paying companies to put their games on the service when it's not their own game. We just don't know what they're giving them. So you have no idea what's.
Oh, it's going to get leaked at some point. Somebody's going to get fired in a department that's going to have access to that, and it's going to come out. It's going to be glorious.
I don't know if it'll necessarily get leaked, but I could see it coming out if this Netflix service, is supposed to start having their own streaming service of games soon. I think when you start getting competition, you start to I think that's an easier way to figure out. I was saying this to someone today. Netflix could be the big competition. I was like, I mean, maybe they haven't even said what kind of games they're going to put on there, and supposedly it doesn't even change your subscription service. Like the amount you pay for Netflix right now, supposedly when they put the gaming on it, it's just the same price. So then I don't know, but what games are going to be on it? Is it Apple Arcade? Are there PlayStation exclusives? I mean, I hope so. I hope PlayStation partners with them. It might sound crazy. I want Game Pass to have real competition.
It's a huge company.
And two,
I think it's going to...
Two, it would be amazing for me as an Xbox and a PC guy to be able to play all these PlayStation exclusives. But at the end of the day, you take a game like GTA 5, right? Netflix can't call their company up and say, hey, we want to put your game on our streaming service. And they're going to say, great. How much are you going to give us? They're not going to take less than what Microsoft is already giving them when it goes on their service.
Yeah.
You're not going to take... I mean, Netflix isn't going to be able to say, well, we're Netflix. Your game will get more popular. And they're going to say, we're the most popular game that's ever been sold physically, so we don't care. So you can either pay us this, which is what we get over here, or we're not coming for less. I don't think anyone's going to go to Netflix for less. So that's where I think you could start seeing maybe the prices start to show up. On what they get paid.
Interested in that too, because we know that when it comes to like shows and stuff, Netflix is kind of cheap. They let go like their best shows because they don't want to pay for them anymore, which is kind of crazy. Or like their best movies, they let go. So at first I was like, of course it's Netflix. Of course they're going to come out with some bangers, but I don't know. We'll have to see on that.
Well,
I'm interested in that.
Sorry, Jordan. Here's the scary thing. So look what happened with Netflix's evolution. One, they've killed Blockbuster. Jordan, that was way before your time. It was these little rectangles that you put into a machine and the things went.
Shut up.
So But here's the thing: is when they came into the space, they were buying movies, right? They were buying Friends. They went out and bought like sci-fi shows. They went out and bought
I mean, it was
libraries.
2
They
or
went out
3
and
years
bought
of
MGM.
significant loss for them to get off the ground.
Wait, but here's my point. What do they do now? When you watch the Oscars now, or any sort of like big movie thing, how many movies now are built, done, distributed, and everything by Netflix now?
Yeah, they have a lot more original content.
Yeah.
So do you think Netflix is going to come out with their own original games and become a studio and really
Possibly.
just put it to everyone?
I don't think they're gonna start out that
I
way.
can't even have a serious conversation about that, I'll be honest.
Why?
No,
I think it's a real possibility.
No
I
chance.
just think it's gonna start that way.
No chance.
no.
I think.
sorry.
Here's the
I
thing, though.
totally think so. I 100%
Here's the
think
thing.
so.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan, for having an intelligent conversation with
I
me.
can't
James
even-
is over here going, no, but here's the thing. Everyone said that there's no way that this video DVD service, delivery service, is going to be able to compete with a home movie store. They killed them. Nobody said when they started coming out that critically acclaimed movies or shows are going to be able to come out of a streaming service. Now you've got Apple TV, Ted Lasso. You've got
But
Amazon
again,
Prime doing
Jay, you're
originals.
talking if they
I'm
made-
not done yet. You're hanging on. Hang on. And now Netflix is getting into games. Everyone over in the gaming industry should shit themselves, because you can't tell me that there's tons of game developers, there's tons of people that want access to content, there's tons of people want it. And if Netflix goes out and goes, cool, we're gonna greenlight 3 AAA titles, and we're gonna put our money where our mouth is, which they do all the time. You
Yeah.
can't tell me you wouldn't either have people applying or their own internal teams or a studio
Yeah.
jumping
100%.
at the bit to submit a presentation.
Okay, I'm not
100%.
saying that it's not possible for them to make one, but if they made one today, we're talking 3 to 6 years before their first real game comes out.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
You can't
saying
just hire
that
these guys and bam, you have a game next
Well,
week.
But if they're thinking about doing this, James, you think this was a whim? They, of course, have been thinking about this for a long time. They've been thinking about jumping on this bandwagon. So that's why I said I don't think they're going to start out that way. They could. I don't think they're going to start out that way, but I 100% think that if it becomes successful, they are going to invest their money in coming out with their own games. 100%.
I mean, they license
Because-
their games out. You've got the Stranger Things game. You've got a couple where they have IPs that they own the rights to the IPs. I could see that. I could see them, working with third-party studios to make games. But again, to make games exclusively for that platform, that I don't see happening. I just don't.
I think so.
It didn't. Google didn't even make it a year with their supposed have an exclusive studio. Amazon's already talking about putting their MMO across platform now because they don't think it can survive it, and everyone loves that game. I just don't. I just don't see. They're better off throwing money at Sony and partnering with Sony and making Sony PlayStation exclusives be on Netflix and being the Xbox Gamepass competitor, but the Sony side of things, and it's exclusively on Sony PlayStation and Netflix.
Yeah, I'm not fighting you on that. I'm just saying I also see them creating their own as well. And once they get it up off the ground, they see that there's profit coming from it. I 100% see them going all the way.
Because you got to look at so if Netflix makes their own game studios, right, Jay? So they've got their own exclusive studio, their own exclusive games. It comes on Netflix. I can get Netflix on a PlayStation. I can get Netflix on my TV. I can get Netflix on my Xbox. So now I can play a Netflix exclusive on my PlayStation or Xbox through Netflix
And your PC.
and my PC. I just don't understand. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I guess that would be a lot of
I don't understand
mechanics to
the
go through,
point.
but
So now is Netflix pulling their service off all these platforms? Why would no? So I just don't understand.
why
the
not? That
concept.
gives people more access to their. That's smart. That gives people more access to their games, not less access to their games.
Yeah, but where they? I just don't see where they're making the money. I just
Well, where do they make their money now?
subscribers.
Boom, there you go. That's how they make their damn money.
But they're already
So
talking about
if-
not raising the subscription fee to add this gaming service.
Absolutely, and
I
they've
feel
said
like
that
they're
before.
definitely going to do that. There's no way that they're not going to do that. They raise it all the time.
Yeah.
Listen, I can only tell you what they said. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think them having their own studio is a joke. I think there's no chance.
So what I see happening is a 5-year plan where the first 2 years they go out and they cut a check to somebody and they said, we want all of these titles. And then they do that. And while they're judging their popularity, while they're figuring out their distribution, while they're figuring out their price hike for the add-on, why they think, when they're going out and doing this, that's when they're building their own studio. And so by the time that they figured out all the metrics, all the marketing behind it, where to put it, how to distribute it, the UX, everything like that, then they start hitting you with the games. Because here's another interesting piece. Okay, so Jordan, let's play a game because you're the only smart one on here right now. So all of these developers are getting pissed on by the Game Pass. So let's just assume that they're getting revenue, but they're not getting great revenue. And once again, we need a difference between the percentage that we're making and the raw and the actual dollars that are coming in.
Right.
I don't know if Microsoft was smart enough in their Game Pass contract to say, okay, well, this is on Game Pass, you can't go anywhere else. Because then all these other studios go, cool, I want the same deal I've got with Pass from Netflix. Netflix goes, sweet. And then Netflix turns around because they've already got the infrastructure, because they've already got everything in there. They go, hey, by the way, we're going to do a Netflix Game Pass with pretty much 90% of the Xbox Game Pass content for $4.99 more. Would you like to sign up?
Yeah, but
if they're not even raising the price, then it's gonna kill Xbox.
The problem with
but you really don't think they were smart enough to put exclusivity?
No, they're not exclusive. They can be on other platforms. I know that for sure. But you got to remember, 23 of the studios that make games for Game Pass are Microsoft owned. There are not that many big studios left out there that aren't owned by Sony, Nintendo, or Xbox.
Wait, James, you have to remember, all of those companies, though, are all beholden to the stockholders. And as soon as everyone starts finding out that they're keeping their games off and they had an option of making another $2 or $3 million per studio, the heads are going to roll. You got to remember, man, as much as we want to sit there and jump up and down and say like, oh, the 23, blah, 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 Xbox, blah, it's all fine and great until the money starts happening. Sorry for those. I'm trying to keep it 18 up tonight.
No, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if I would not be shocked if Microsoft was like to their own studios said, of course, yeah, we'll put the games on that service too, because Netflix is now going to pay Microsoft money to put their games on their service. I honestly, if it was completely open to all the games, I wouldn't be shocked to see Microsoft also put games on that service.
Well, and it, like you said, it all depends because, it's interesting because, okay, so here would be one philosophy coming with Netflix adding games. Netflix core subscription is its people. They need retention. They need new numbers. And so my thought is, as an executive, is how do I increase the life cycle of a consumer subscribing to Netflix? I need that revenue. And if I can add something, a feature or games or whatever it is, to increase that cycle from 12 months to 18 months, damn straight I'm doing it. Because that's my goal is not Game Pass. I don't give a shit about Game Pass. What I care about is the Netflix subscription. And if I go out to my consumers and I go, hey, get this Game Pass, we might see, because that's what I was talking about with the metrics for the next 2-3 years before they bring on their own studio and they're doing their own thing, is they're going to test it and find out, does that increase the average subscription lifespan of a consumer? And then if that happens, if they say, okay, James, you're a loyal Netflix guy, it's $4.99 to you and you get 90% of these games, you go, oh, well, shoot, I'm never getting rid of Netflix ever because now it's got my Game Pass on there too. It's got all my games. It's got everything on there. I'll just say subscribe to them forever in the same future. That's worth the weight in gold because that's covering my major corporate business, which is the subscription side of Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like I said, I understand the concept of it. The only thing that makes me laugh is your thought of them making their own game studios and being
I think
successful.
If it works out,
I just don't see.
I think if it works out, they definitely would. I mean, they put so much money into their originals, and people laugh at
everyone thought Google
people laugh
Stadia
at their
they were going to be and Google has the money, and they decided to stop. Everyone thought they were going to start making their own games. They said they were going to make their own games. These backers we were behind Stadia basically are paying for a service that's halfway seems like it's disappearing, and Amazon's the same. We're going to have like these companies obviously have the money to do that, and they didn't even follow through. What makes Netflix any different? Why are they actually going to follow through? I just don't.
Because it's the importance to the core business.
John Deserve says, I can't wait until Netflix comes out with their own studio. And I know that's just in reference because you're going to lose it on me. But I want to preface this right now. I'm telling everyone that is listening or watching this episode. I don't care if tomorrow Netflix says we have our own game studio. You can all kiss my rear end because because it does not mean anything to me until they say they have their own studio and they actually release a game and it's actually successful. I don't want to hear about how we have their own studio and in 5 years from now they're still, well, the game was delayed. The game was delayed. And listen, on a scale of, on IGN's 1 to 10, and I'll give it to you if it's at least a 6. A 6. I'll give you that, Jay, and that's not even a good game. That's bad. A 6 is bad.
Wait,
I don't think they have any chance of making their own studio and putting their own game out in the next 6 years.
Someone clip this.
Yeah, clip it. Clip it, because here's the thing, is we dedicated an entire episode to Silent Hill and the bullshit that they've been coming up with of, oh, is it going to come out as a game? Is it going to be a follow-up? Is it going to be all this other bullshit? Netflix at least has the money, has the desire, and has the capital to push it. Because once again, Google, it is not a Google core business to have this other piece. It is not a piece of Amazon core business to have this other piece. It all comes off of the subscription service and the main revenue for these companies. In increasing the life expectancy of a consumer for Netflix is massive, because that's been a problem for them for the last 2 years, is the life cycle, because you can only churn movies so much. I'd also like to point out that Netflix has done the exact same thing already, because now they're a movie studio. And everyone said that they're not going to be able to do that. And Jordan is 100% correct. They have started releasing originals that are more acclaimed than everything else.
They cannot just make a studio and come out with one game and launch this.
They said the same thing, and then everyone in MGM and all the people back in Hollywood got their faces kicked in with all the nominations that happened for the originals.
The only thing I can agree with, we've got Savager in the chat. He says the best they can do is make an indie developer-friendly environment and publish their games under them. I totally agree. I think that's the best route for Netflix wanting to do something like that. But then they're competing against the Switch, the new Steam Deck. You know, are indie games not going to want to put their games on the Steam platform anymore? No chance. I don't see that happening. Steam being the platform that it is, are indie games not going to want to be on PlayStation or Xbox anymore? I don't see that. So they're not going to be exclusive. I'll believe it when I see it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
I think Netflix opening up a studio crushes. Obviously, PlayStation doesn't really have a good Game Pass thing, but I think that makes. If I was Microsoft, I would be insanely nervous right now, because really, and you've pointed this out to me numerous times, and this will be the only time I ever tell you publicly in a forum that I agree with you. Game Pass is doing much better, and they've got a great model, and they've got a lot of great momentum. But Netflix, being one of the few companies that in this space can take them on, head to head, because they've got the juice and they've got the distribution and they've got the expertise in rolling this stuff out. Man, I would be nervous as hell, because Netflix turns that on. Do you keep your games? Do you keep another subscription, or do you just keep it with? Because now that's 2 subscriptions, right? Or do I just add on to the one I already have?
But Jay, the last, and this is to you, Jordan, too. The last point I want to make is one of the things that makes Google Stadia not very successful is the streaming service of the games is low quality. Microsoft has the Azure cloud. It's considered the best product in the business, and still, even when I stream the games from the cloud, I have great internet, it still lags and struggles. So not only does Netflix not have any kind of streaming cloud platform service yet, right? That would be like my TV shows
They
bother
have
still
to do
sometimes,
research
right?
into that, though,
So
James.
Yeah.
so, but I'm saying you're trying to compete against Sony and Microsoft, just those two alone, where like on Game Pass, if it's on my console, I can download the game to my console. I can download the game to my computer and play it from a Game Pass subscription. They're specifically only talking to Netflix as a game streaming service. So you're playing it streaming.
But yeah, but
which
Netflix
you're
is
not going to have any
also a streaming
multiplayer competitive
platform.
games on there.
But
right?
you can, but James, you can also download Netflix movies. So just because they're offering a streaming platform doesn't mean that they're not going to offer those options as well. I'm just thinking,
Well, Jordan-
you're
But
thinking of
what are
these-
you downloading it? Okay, so you get Warzone, free to play game. It's going to be on their service as well. What are you going to download? A 256 gigabyte game to your Samsung television? What are you downloading it to?
So here's the thing, Jordan. James is very concerned that Netflix doesn't have any experience with streaming. And I know that.
but-
No. Please pick up on my sarcasm
Yeah.
because
No,
all Netflix
I said
is streaming
specifically
videos.
the game streaming where latency we're talking millisecond latency matters
Yeah,
in gaming.
I'm saying, like, I didn't think you were being sarcastic because I assumed that you meant streaming, like, games. That's what you were saying, like, for him. But
No, I'm just saying that James is very concerned about the streaming because Netflix doesn't have any streaming experience. Like you're
You
right.
knew what I meant, Jay!
They don't have any. They don't have any servers over at Netflix. They're barely. I mean, you should see them. There's like water coming out of them. The CD trays that come out are duct taped down so the servers don't keep restarting. There's a dude there with a fire extinguisher putting out the
Look,
the
Jay,
fires all the time.
Savager says in the comments, to compete with giants like Steam, they will need a large upfront cost and infrastructure upgrades, more staffing for this, better server standard, moderation for the new player
But we're
base.
acting like they're not doing that when they're literally creating their own critically acclaimed movies. Like, it's Netflix. Like, if you're thinking of these things, James, they are thinking of these things. They
How's
have
that?
people
Listen, how's that
who are hired
Will
to be
Smith
thinking
movie
of
with the
these
fairies? How's that follow up on that? Didn't go anywhere, huh? Like,
What?
where's there all these great movies we're talking about?
Do you want me to bring up, like, their best movies? Because
Google
I can
it.
even think about Schitt's Creek. That's a Netflix original, and that got
Yes.
so many awards. That was
I'm not talking
amazing.
about TV shows. You said movies.
Okay,
No,
let me
I
TV
love
shows-
Netflix.
it-
I love
you
Netflix.
forget-
Stranger Things, all those
Let's
things on
move
Netflix. I
'cause
love
you're
them.
fucking weird, James. I'm sorry for cursing. You're
Listen,
weird.
Listen, you guys
You're
are
not-
stressing me out with this. Like,
No.
Netflix is
Wait,
going to
wait.
come in as a real
Jordan.
competitor. There's zero chance they make a game studio and start taking over the industry.
Jordan,
Yeah.
his point is TV streaming is different than movie streaming from the same streaming service, right? Is that the
No,
point
that's
you're trying
not what
to
I
make?
said.
So-
I said it's different than game
That's
streaming.
what I thought that you were trying to say, like,
Game.
earlier when you were being sarcastic. I thought
It's-
that's what you were trying to say, which I kind of like thought that that's what James was trying to say.
But here's the interesting thing. Okay, so James, here's the interesting thing. I know you mentioned streaming and downloading something into your TV, which I understand you're trying to make a funny point, but that's just dumb. So really what it is Netflix already has the apps on all of the consoles, correct?
Yes.
Like you could kick it up. Okay, it's just like everything else you see. Hey, hit it here and download from Xbox. Hit it here, download from PlayStation. It's the same game. It's the same
So now
app.
you're
It's
telling
the same
me the
everything.
two biggest companies that they want to compete with are going to allow you to download a Netflix exclusive game on their console? If they're trying to be a real competitor to Sony and Microsoft, there's zero chance Sony and Microsoft are going to let you play those games on their console.
So you think Sony
Well-
and Microsoft are going to take the Netflix app off of their? Like, you're not gonna
If
be
they're
able to
trying to
download
be a competitor to those two consoles, then yes, absolutely. I think that they would remove those apps.
But some people, and I know this sounds stupid, but I swear to God, this is true. Some people literally have a PlayStation.
Oh, I
just
agree.
for the
I agree. My parents had a
Just
Nintendo
for the
Wii and had the stupid little disc that had to go in there just to have Netflix because it was easier to do Netflix off that than it was a smart television. Like, no, I totally agree with you. But I just don't see why those consoles would help a competitor that's trying to come in the market, Jay, like you said, wiped out
Right.
things like Blockbuster. That would be their intent, to take over the industry. Why would they allow
I think
them
their
to help
intent
them?
is to take over the industry. I think that's just what happened because it was outdated. But Xbox Game Pass is not outdated. It is leading the industry right now. So I don't think that that's really a concern for them. Because it's not like they're going to get shut out. What are Netflix going to... Never mind. I was going to say something stupid. Whatever. But it's not like it's going to completely get rid of Xbox Game Pass. That's not what we're saying.
No, I mean, like I said,
But it
I
could
hope
be a
they have
great
something.
competitor.
I hope that there is a competitor. The only way Game Pass is going to get better is if somebody steps up to the plate and makes some sort of competitive service. It's true. That's why I'm praying that Netflix announces a partnership with PlayStation. I think that's the best thing for Sony. They don't have the cloud infrastructure and the streaming infrastructure, but if they put a little bit of, here's how you make a game run properly with latency and work with Netflix, I think that's a match made in heaven. My whole point of this whole argument is that there's no chance Netflix starts making their own studios and can compete with the three bigs. It's just not. I just don't think they can do it. It would take too long. They'd be left in the dust. I just don't. I don't see why anyone would.
We're just gonna leave it there because we're
To
gonna
have
agree
one
to
studio
disagree.
to make one game every 3 or 4 years is not enough to push your exclusive streaming service.
But
But
why
it's
would
not. Why would you need that to push it?
Well, James, why
weren't
would you also
saying
assume that they would only have one game every 3 years?
Right.
Well, if they make a studio, they have to make multiple studios.
No, James, it's the same method that they're using now. You buy the RCA library for a certain amount of time, and then you put your exclusives on it with the same thing, and it's all mixed in. It's the same thing they're doing right now.
I just don't see something like, I mean, Ubisoft has these bigger companies already have their own so-called streaming services. Ubisoft already has one. So who's Netflix going to go buy that makes their games exclusive on their platform that these studios don't want their games to be everywhere? Who?
So why would I limit myself and have them be exclusive? Like, why? Like, if I'm a studio, I want it in as many places as possible because I need revenue. And if you look at the number of Game Pass subscribers versus people that are potentially on Netflix and everything else, like,
Netflix
I'm not going to sit there
astronomical beyond everyone. I'm not arguing that point.
Right. So if I'm looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint, I'm going to go with Netflix because my introduction to eyeballs is going to be vastly higher. But why would I ever do an exclusive? Like, let Microsoft pay for their own exclusive, and like Halo. You'll never see Halo on Netflix, but you'll see it on Xbox.
It's on Steam.
Perfect. Well, okay, so hang on a second. So how come Microsoft hasn't shut down Steam for putting games on
They're
Xbox and
licensing
PlayStation?
their games to Steam.
What? You mean just like Netflix can country restrict a movie, they can do the same thing with the game? My goodness, they are good.
You're so funny, Jay. I love.
But that goes back. Listen, I'm agreeing with you that I think the same games that are on Game Pass could also be on Netflix. I'm going to
go work at Netflix just so I can shove this up your ass.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. My whole disagreement is that there's no chance they make their own studio to start making their own games that help boost this platform.
True. Just like they didn't go out and build their own studio and make their own movies and their own TV shows.
100%.
Listen. Anyways,
as the voice of reason.
I think we have beat this to a dead horse. So before we go, why I'm on my soapbox, I am like the biggest advocate for Call of Duty and everything that they do, and I've defended them, and everyone knows it's been following me. I've put the game on the shelf. I've been playing Splitgate. I've gotten to the point I'm actually kind of sadly I've burnt out on Splitgate, and that is because I've literally done everything in the game. I have gotten every achievement possible. So I've exceeded any expectation I had for it. I've probably put in ridiculous amount of hours. It is a lot of fun. I really love it, but it's kind of like there's not much else left to do other than trying to go up the ranking system. I'm an average gamer at best, so I'm probably peaked in, I'm going to probably float between diamond and platinum ranks, so it's just couple wins, couple losses, couple wins, couple losses. and that's okay. And the game is fun, but there's just not much else right now to offer me. So I jump back into Call of Duty. They have the big event, and I will say so far when they've done these events to reveal their new game or their new seasons, they have been amazing. This event, Jay, I know you didn't play it, and I know we haven't played Call of Duty in a long time. Did you play it?
I did play it.
What an absolute joke of an event this was, Jordan. This is what happens, Jordan. An armored train from World War II invades Verdansk, and 36 players, or whatever it is, 32 players, as a team, have to jump into the game, and then we all shoot this train for about 15 minutes, it seems like, while the train's shooting us back. And once we blow up the train, we run to the exfil, which you can't actually make it unless you're already standing there because a missile lands on your head at the end. And then they show the Call of Duty Vanguard trailer. The event was an absolute joke, an absolute waste of time. It's very clear that them moving to a new map for Call of Duty Vanguard, which is great, and them announcing that there's an anti-cheat, it's very clear that this company has moved on from Verdansk. And I understand, it's 2 months away before the new map comes out, and it's an updated engine, which allows them to put the anti-cheat because the code hasn't been sold off like the last one was when Warzone came out. So I understand all that, but it's very clear that they have left this game behind to die. This map, there's probably not very many updates. I'm sure that this was a throwaway event. At least that's what I'm hoping. But what an absolute joke and an L and something they should not have hyped up. I think it was just a complete waste of anyone's time to even do this. Just show the stupid trailer in the middle of a baseball game, or why didn't they show the trailer back in the NBA playoffs like they used to? The trailer is amazing. It looks like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's a World War II game. I'm sure 99% of the world isn't going to care about that. And everyone's over the historical shooters again. They want the modern stuff. They're trying to compete with Battlefield. I personally will not buy Vanguard. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not playing Warzone when it updates the map, and even though it's World War II themed, absolutely I'm going to play Warzone. I know that for a fact, but I have zero interest in buying Vanguard to play multiplayer in the campaign. I don't care. So, and I think a lot of people are going to feel that way as well. Of course, I'm sure Activision doesn't care because they make a ton of money off Warzone, which is still great. I hope that the anti-cheat actually works. I'll believe it when I see it. These hackers are smart and great, and they figure ways around it. And I can only imagine it's a matter of time before they announce, "Oh, sorry, our code was stolen again," and it's Hack City. But Jay, what did you think about the event? Everyone knows my opinion. I think it was a waste of time and a joke. But real quick, you said you played it. Your thoughts?
I did. I was hoping it was going to be harder or more intricate than it was, because it really did feel like that. Kind of felt like you're playing a campaign mode, and then that was the final boss at like level 1.5 on your way to the actual final boss, which was going to be hard. The other thing is, and James, I know you love Splitgate. I am done with Splitgate, because to me it really feels like it should have been more of a mobile game than it should have been a console thing. And I think it was kind of, the concept was cool, and I think it's fun, and I think it's great. But after about 30 minutes of playing, I was kind of, it's just not really there for me anymore. But so obviously I went back to Call of Duty, found out the Vanguard event, did that intro thing. What's up?
Did you play any more Valorant?
I did.
Yeah.
Still terrible. I'm still terrible.
Like
Not the game. Me.
Oh.
No, me. I'm terrible at it. That game's still interesting, and I think it's just because I haven't put enough time into it, but it is interesting. But Splitgate, I'm kind of out on. Call of Duty, though, the Vanguard event, dude, it was terrible. Like, I kept, it's one of those things, like, I kept waiting for, like,
something else to happen.
We blew up all the turrets. Right. Okay, cool. Now here come the bombers, and now we have to get somewhere else. And, like, cinematically and, like, story-wise, I thought it was cool. I thought it was a great concept, like, armored Nazi train going through the thing. Like, that's awesome. They used part of the map that already existed. Some of the stuff in, Verdansk changed. Like, that's really cool. But, man, the actual mission itself, sucked big huevos.
Especially when their last couple had been really cool. And also, not to mention, literally like 2 weeks ago, Fortnite did one of their live events, and it was freaking Ariana Grande doing a concert in Fortnite. And here comes Call of Duty marching all back with, we've got a train you can shoot.
Yeah. Well, I think they blew their load on the 80s. They might have blown their load on the 80s, man, because the 80s event was pretty freaking sweet. Like, I thought that was awesome. Being able to play as Bruce Willis or, Stallone and, the old school music and like hair bands and like the new tower and everything else I thought was really cool. And this one almost seemed like they're really focused on Vanguard, and they turn to some junior developers and go, hey, we liked your train idea. Just go ahead and run with that. Well, what do we need? Don't worry about it. Just to put the train in there, blow it up. 36
like,
people.
I would have rather had seen that armored train. You know how like there's the different events, the jailbreak will happen in Warzone, or the supply drop part will happen in Warzone. That should be an event in Warzone, that an armored train comes.
Oh,
because
that would have been
basically
great.
is like sniping everybody as it drives by. So could you imagine this armored train that's not affected just going around the map, that's just mowing people down if you're anywhere near it? Like, it changes the way you have to rotate. It changes the way you have to play. That would have been... I would have rather have had that as their event than some throwaway event that they had. It was just a joke.
But for BR though, like, you still had to take out the train, like, in order to get like whatever it was at the end, like a new skin or something like that. You still had to blow up the train.
Yeah, like it kind could be an object to it. Yeah, maybe not as hard to blow up as they did, but
like what we were doing with like when you had to do the bank or the bank, where you had to like do it while the game is all still going on. You were completing these like internal missions and
Easter egg missions and stuff. Yeah, I think that would have been. I think that could have been a lot of fun. Maybe some random Activision or Raven employer will hear us and be like, "Hey, that's a really good idea. We should steal that." I doubt out of the 12 people watching us right now, it's going to be one of them. But we can always hope, because our idea is clearly better than anyone there. Maybe if they weren't so busy fighting off a lawsuit or slapping people on the backside, maybe they would have been able to make something of themselves. But just, oh man, I can't tell you. It's like me on the soapbox this week. It just stressed me out. I was like, what a joke. I can't even defend this. I can't even get my friends to come back to play this, because I can't even recommend that this is, hey man, come play the event because it's kind of fun. And then, hey, while you're already logged on, we might as well play a game or two of Warzone. That's kind of how it went in the past. I can't even say that was fun with a straight face.
We thought it was going to be Jay talking for straight 45 minutes. It's been you.
Oh,
it has been you.
What a nightmare. All right, guys. We're going to say goodbye with that, now that George has called out my inefficiencies. Let's go around the room real quick, see what you guys are up to. Jay, what are you up to this week besides getting ready for a playoff game and high school football? Anything else going on family-wise?
Family-wise, just hanging out. Kids are all back in school now, so limited time with them. Still taking them to school in the morning, so no matter what happens, got to be up at 6 o'clock, which is why you will not find me online doing my late night sessions as I normally do. But yeah, man, just getting the grind back into it. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a big announcement with my travel agency. But until then, it's licensing for USA Bobsled and Skeleton this next week.
Nice. And Jordan, you jumped back in. You had the birthday stream. Are you starting to trend back to streaming a little bit more full time again?
I'm making no promises, because every single time I say this is the week I'm gonna start coming back, something else in life just smacks me right on the forehead and says, no, sit down. So I'm just going to pray that yes, and we're just going to be spontaneous and have fun and have a good time. And if my life continues to punch me in the face, you won't see me. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so Call of Duty after this?
Yeah, exactly. Guys, for me, I'm not really sure. I have been playing 12 minutes recently. I thought about streaming that if I can get, a couple of viewers that want to come on and watch as I play it. This is an interactive kind of point-and-click adventure, interactive thriller. It's got great voice acting. For those who don't know, it just released on, I think, everywhere. I don't know if it's Xbox exclusive or not. I'm not sure if it's on PlayStation, but it's a lot of fun. Basically, every 12 minutes, the world resets. You're trying to figure out, like, this cop comes in and arrests your wife for killing her father. and it's like a loop. It's like a Groundhog Day style game, right? So every 12 minutes it resets, and you got to figure out the story as you go. I would love to play that on stream a little bit this week and kind of get feedback from people watching. And we, after the loop, we could have a discussion in the chat saying, okay, let's try this time. And then I go through, I do the scenario again and see if that gets us any further. I think that would be a lot of fun. I've also been looking to jump into Escape from Tarkov. I have looked extensively at controller support for it, and if I can figure out something that I like, it could be something that I jump into going forward. But with that being said, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you guys again. This was Parents vs. Gaming, episode 22. We will see you next Sunday. And Jay, I just want to get a little teaser out there. Our main topic next Sunday, and you can't answer right now. Buddy. You can't answer right now.
Give me the tentacles.
Tentacles?
More tentacles?
Are esports players real athletes? All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.